Well, let's just not delay. We're still going to further in our conversation this morning, and we have Dr. Sammy Ajufo joining us from Enugu State this morning. He himself, he is a media consultant of no mean repute, of course, a leader in that particular sector. We'll be having him join us this morning to talk some really serious national issues. I mean, Dr. Ajufo can actually even touch on the River State issue because some of his narratives in recent have been really striking. And I'll take him on some of his personal works in recent times with regard to the political space in Nigeria. Good morning, Dr. Ajufo. Good to have you on Rise and Shine this morning. Okay, I don't know if Dr. Ajufo is unmuted, so we can hear him.
Okay, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. How are you this morning? How is Enugu State? How's the cold city?
Enugu is rainy. It's been rainy for 2 days straight. It's I don't know. It's just been rainy, and it's rainy right now. But all the same, it's cool. It's all cool. How are you guys doing this morning?
Well, we're glad. We do hope that that's not an impending flood coming into Enugu State, though.
No, Enugu cannot have floods. You know, because we are topography. It's the geography of Enugu doesn't allow for that kind of situation. The city is literally on a hill, so floods can never really happen.
Oh, right,
so
great.
You never hear floods yet.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's some relief at least. Okay. All right, we have Francis joining us here. Dr. Ajufo, one thing I want to quickly do is pick your mind on the River State crisis before we go into our agreed conversation this morning. Similar Fubara did, against all odds, go ahead with the local government elections, and we saw the results. But just after that, we have seen political thugs attempt to also take over those secretariats where the IGP withdrew his presence. What's your thoughts with this? You know, the crisis seems to be having a different face every time. But just give us your holistic thoughts with regards to the crisis and his move with the local government elections.
The reactions from the elections was expected, and as a good leader, as a chief security officer of the state, and even for us who are watching from the outside and citizens of River State, everybody knew that was going to be the outcome. As soon as he decided he was going to go ahead with local government elections, that was expected. And you understand that these local government elections in the past has been a run over. It has been a very simple thing. It is an appendage of the government house. So basically, either caretaker committee chairmen are picked, or you have elections where the governor's supporters, become local government chairmen. But because of the recent development in terms of local government autonomy and the independence of local government structure, it became very critical that local government elections be run. And that's what's going on across Nigeria. There are several schools of thought that believe that there's some kind of nefarious activity that occasioned this decision by President Tinubu to, give local government autonomy, which they should have had from the word go. But then when Fubara decided to conduct the elections, we expected this was going to be the reaction. What we also expected was that it's going to be a situation that will be fought in the courts. And it has been what has been happening in Rivers from the 27 lawmakers who defected or did not defect. But then that reaction was expected. The looting, the burning, and everything. This happens to INEC offices on a regular election cycle. So it was expected. In fact, we are expecting more violence. Unfortunately, I have to say that. But I think it has been contained because, when the caretaker committee chairman were first appointed by Fubara, we saw how there was some scuffle going on at the local government headquarters. We saw the ones that were kicked out complaining, and then the supporters. Definitely there will be supporters. Definitely there are going to be people who are going to be paid to come out and foment trouble. So it was expected. And I was not too surprised when I saw what happened. Let's also look at the fact that the governor had strongly said that the police should not get involved. And I don't know whether that's the reason why the election did not have so many hitches as per se. Now the IGP of police withdrawing the police from the local government headquarters, and then a crisis being recorded there, does that mean that the governor, that without the police at the local government headquarters, that normally crisis will happen? No. This is all tactical. This is all an interplay of some political maneuvering. Let's be honest, if both of you drive down to the nearest local government in the past, the nearest local government where your station is situated, how many policemen will you see? You'll probably see NSCDC, some local vigilante, or you'll not even see anybody at the gates of the local government. But because of the sensitivity of what Fubara was doing and what some other state governors will be doing to conduct local government elections, that was expected. So I believe the IGP has also reinstated the policemen at the local government, and let's see how that goes.
Well, it's a rather sad narrative, but let's look at the body language of Mr. President. Remember, Nyesom Wike, who is one of the key principal troublemakers as we speak in Rivers State, is also an appointee of Mr. President. And so far, Nigerians believe that the president has not spoken to his minister or has not spoken in strong terms to deter him from taking further actions in the crisis in Rivers State. Do you agree or disagree with this standpoint?
Whether you call him a troublemaker, it is, well, if you look at his, what has gone on in Rivers State is what goes on in several other states. What happens in states where there is a very strong political orientation, where you have people jostling to become godfathers. This is the same, almost the same thing that happened in Edo State. Who will you call to order? If there was crisis in Edo State before the election, will you call the governor, Governor Obaseki, or will you call Adams or Shomole? You know, so it is the points man that is involved. I remember some months ago, probably last year, I believe, there was also when this crisis happened and all that, and it warranted that everybody moves to Abuja for a settlement or reconciliation that many people still question till today. There's so much the president can do. There's so much interference he can do. You know, he had that discussion where the lawmakers will return, and it was like a presidential directive, which was wrong constitutionally and in every wise. It is not really the president's job to call his appointee. If Wike was appointee of the president, what would you say would have happened? What would you expect the president to do? So the president is not appointing ministers so that they will be overseeing the affairs of what goes on in their own respective states. It's a governance structure that it makes sure that everybody does what needs to be done. The president does not have appointees per state, even though he appointed them from the state level. But whatever Wike is doing, the president had already intervened at a point in time, and later on he hands up. Because the issue of Rivers, which is a very, like I say, a very strong political state. Rivers is more aware than many other states in Nigeria. Look at the political titans that have come out of Rivers State, going back to the days of Melford Okilo, now to Nyesom Wike. We had Chibuike Amechi, you've had Peter Odili, you have so many people. So it is really a sensitive matter that if the president is speaking, it also require caution so that it doesn't look as if he also wants, because, you know, after the Edo election, a lot of people have been complaining that what happened in the Edo election was state capture. So is Rivers going to be another way of state capture? And let's not forget, the economic crisis, the fuel and everything is on the president's table. So getting involved in Rivers is really not, if he gets involved, that...
Okay. Of course, we're speaking with Dr. Sammy Ajufo this morning, and we're looking into the Rivers State crisis, the expectation of a lot of Nigerians. I think if I refer to Dr. Ajufo's line of thoughts this morning, he's saying the expectation of Nigerians to actually really see Mr. President wade into that matter is not a really just expectation if you go by his summations this morning. Okay, I think the network has unfreezed you. All right, sir, you can go ahead with your trend of thought.
Yeah, so, sorry, what a call came in. So I was saying that, you see, the president's body language should not even connote any being concerned with Rivers. You must also understand that prior to this, President Tinubu never really had a political ally in Rivers publicly. Look at how the trajectory of President Tinubu's political career has been. Let's look at from 2015 to 2023. How many people from Rivers, which political titan, which political stalwart in Nigeria of Rivers descent has obviously physically been around with President Tinubu? You don't see that happening, even during his campaign for president. So Rivers is new for him, and if anybody wants to get involved in Rivers, you need to understand that you're going against a brick wall, a serious brick wall, because everybody in Rivers is aware. Rivers, especially within the Niger Delta, but among all the Niger Delta states, among the entire South states, Rivers is quite sensitive. Rivers can be compared to what's going on in Kano State. There are states that have that political awareness, So the president needs to tread carefully, and that's why there's no obvious push in Rivers. The president, in my own belief, will most likely get interested in what's going on in the South than what's going on in the Southwest, than what's going on in the South, because it's a very tricky swamp to negotiate, basically.
So talking about the need to be careful, the former president Goodluck Ebele Jonathan recently reacted to the feud that is going on in Rivers State, and a lot of people did come out on the social media space to react and saying once again Goodluck Ebele Jonathan has found a way to sit on the fence with regard to the reactions he should be having to the Rivers State crisis. I know that you've been privy to that particular reaction. What are your thoughts? Because in your own words now, you're even asking that Mr. President it would be expected that he trades carefully. How careful should the former president have traded, in his reaction and calling to caution all the parties involved? People were expecting that he would name people categorically in that particular statement released on X.
This is a thing about former President Jonathan. You need to realize he has been one of the gentleman politicians. And because of who he has been in the past, even when he was president, Jonathan was never confrontational about anything. Jonathan was more of trying to play the wise, cautious politician, which was what worked against him in the 2015 elections. But you know that he has moved from being president to elder statesman. The reason why Jonathan actually brought out a statement is because Jonathan is also a leader that came from the South. He's a president that had a lot of connections with Rivers State. If we go back to the time of Chibuike Amechi and everything, President Jonathan, there's always been a connection. There's also been a school of thoughts. Well, it's true that Jonathan supported Nyesom Wike to become a minister and then become governor. Now, if you look at Jonathan's statement, he was basically writing like what a statesman would do. He would write the same way an Obasanjo will write, talking about what's going on, and it's closer home to him. It's just across the fence, Bayelsa and Rivers State. So he had to come out with that approach and give that warning. It's not the first time he's done that. You do know that Jonathan in recent times had also visited Governor Fubara and and also called for peace and talked about the two political gladiators, Fubara and Wike. Now you can see Fubara is now a gladiator. He was pushed into this prematurely, if I might call it. But if Jonathan's statement said anything, Jonathan was speaking to the Rivers people, who was speaking and calling for peace. Because if there's crisis in Rivers State, when we talk about crisis of high volatile proportions, we will not be able to stop it. We will not be able to stop it. And that's why we saw a warlord, if I can call him, like Asarido Kubo saying, he saw helicopters and security and soldiers around his area that he was threatening. Yes, because they needed to make sure, whether it's a political gimmick or a political maneuver, to also make sure they also touch on the hotspots that will probably erupt if there was going to be violence taking place. So this can predicate a lot of things. Some people can go back to saying, oh, this is now an issue, let's go and destroy pipelines. This is an issue, let's do this, let's do that, to foment trouble. So in that situation, I don't even think the presidency and the federal government were very wise in some of their decisions, because the reason why Fubara was actually really upset was because he was seeing the interference of the police in this kind of issue. So it is important that we also look at it from that point, that perspective, that, Jonathan cannot come out and say things. He just needs to come out as a statesman and a leader, the first president that we've had from the South to say this. This is what is happening. It is not right. Local government elections should hold and all that. And remember, I said this before in this same interview, this conversation of local government elections was not on the front burner. It was a simple touch and go in the past where a governor would just push out somebody and then that's the end of the story. But now, it's now going to be a battle to either the governor trying to keep the local government structure within grasp, or some political titan using it as a way to put his own people and all that.
Okay, we're still strong, very funny enough. I know Francis is even asking me what's that we're supposed to be talking to Dr. Ajufo about, and it was actually River State, River State feud. Let's look at the character of Governor Similaye Fubara, because it looks like, just like you have said, he has quickly evolved into, maybe you refer to him as a political lion, having to stand up against a Nyesom Wike and insist that, the runnings of River State will go as it ought to, whether he's been conferred and recognized as the PDP leader in the state. But he has really been up and against the system and insisting that, the local government elections be done, just carrying out his duties. What are your thoughts about, the character of Similaye Fubara, and how do you see this, how does this place him in the space of political affairs?
Well, Similaye Fubara has a lot of past questions he has read. Remember when we were writing examinations, we read past questions. There are a lot of people in Nigeria's political experience from 1999 to this present year. You see political godfathers and godsons having issues. It's either the political godson capitulates to the godfather, or there is a break. This has happened in several states in Nigeria. Now, while we want to call Fubara all the beautiful names we need to call him, or we want to call him, we do realize that when you're coming from the loins, if I might say that, or you're being handpicked by any strong political godfather, these are the things you need to either bow or you will change your mind about. You will say, okay, this man just selected me. Because if you look at the entire thing, Fubara was never obvious. Let me use that word. He was never loud. He never spoke all through the campaigns to become governor. He was just taken around. He was being moved around. They didn't need to say too much. The whole rallies, he didn't say anything. He was not the choice of the people, let's be honest. There was a lot of horse trading that happened before Fubara was made flag bearer for the PDP. You know what happened, what Wike even had to do to cut off every other person who had an ambition. Now, when you're being handpicked by a very strong person, you need to also understand that you walk by the whims and caprices of the person who picked you. Whoever plays the piper dictates the tune. But in this situation, what is happening to Fubara is we're seeing him trying to go against a man, not an institution.
Okay.
There are a lot of political godfathers who have created institutions. Case in point, and we can say this in public, President Tinubu, he has created an institution of politics in Lagos. So you can't go against Tinubu because he has created an institution. The last person who tried that was Akinwumi Ambode, who could not come back for a second term. You could also see that also happened. It almost happened in the case of Raji Fashola, who also would not have had a second tenure if not that he was the second person after Tinubu, and people supported him because he was doing well. All these people I've mentioned came from a political stock. And that is not the thing that happened with Governor Fubara. If you look at Tinubu's example, everyone who has become governor of Rivers State after Tinubu have been people who have worked with him directly. He picked up a chief of staff in Raji Fashola. He picked up a person who was, I think, a captain general or something in an Ambode. He picked up an assistant who is now Sanwo-Olu. But Nyesom Wike doesn't have that. What he had basically was, let's just give this person who is close to me for political reasons and other reasons too that have to do with the fact that you picked your commissioner of finance, which happened in Akwa Ibom State as well. So what you see many political godfathers are doing is they are copying the Tinubu example by creating institutions, which is something that Adams Oshiomhole lost. And that's why it took him 8 years to get back. And I think now he's going to become the political godfather of Edo State. Now, for the sake of this conversation, if you look at Simi Fubara, Fubara is going against a man who is trying to build an institution. Because you see the pushback from the Rivers people, it means that Nyesom Wike has not really cemented that. And it is a unique society in Rivers State. It's not like Lagos. It's a unique society. You have the Ikweres, you have there are so many people. You need to do a lot to bring everybody together into one, which is something that Odili probably tried, but because of certain issues, he could not continue. So that is where Fubara is. Will he succeed? It is left to a lot of factors. But what Fubara is going to see is a lot of violence coming forward. And if the president is going to take a hard stance to support his minister, then we're going to see a lot of interference from the federal government. But it has been a messy affair so far with what we saw with 10-7 lawmakers. They couldn't even get their acts right. They don't know whether they're APC or they're PDP. So at this point, it is fair game. But Fubara is learning the ropes very fast. But it's also a lesson to every other person going forward. What other political godfathers are doing, that is the governors of this set, of the 2023, 2027 and beyond, and the governors of the 2015 to 2023 set, they are learning how to deal with people that they are handing over to or they pick political office. What you do is the Tinubu example, cut off every political base that they could have so that they are always dependent on that political structure. What
a way to deal with politicians. But, Doctor, just before we progress into other conversation, the people of River State seems to be solidly behind Sim Fubara as we speak. I mean, from the underground experience, from underground field reports, and of course what we're seeing on social media. How long do you think this is going to last? Because it seems like, especially considering they recently just held local government elections, the people are calling him the hero of democracy in River State. How long do you see this support happening? Because it has been there for a while now.
Listen, Francis, if any politician believes that the people support him, you might be deceiving yourself on a grand scale. Why? Nigerians love an underdog story. That's what Nigerians love. Once you are looking like the victim, Nigerians will support you. Look at even the social space today. If somebody comes out and says his master is beating him up, if nobody will care to ask, what did you do to your master? They will believe that because the master is rich and you're poor, they'll take the side of the poor person. So that's what happens with Nigeria. They take the underdog story. So, Nyesom Wike being the person he is, with the kind of character he has, it is easy for people to move towards the person who looks more like the victim. And many people understand how to play that card. So, do the Rivers people support him? What they don't like is they don't like the character of Nyesom Wike. Has he worked as a governor in the last 8 years? Yes, he did a lot of great work. But you see, Nigerians will forget the work you do and start remembering the way you spoke. Let me also give you the truth about what is going on in Nigeria as a country. The problem with the president's administration, Bola Tinubu's administration, is that people don't like the personality Tinubu, not his political antecedents. It's the same thing that's happening in the Rivers example. Because of who Nyesom Wike is, he looks like he's a bully. He looks like the bulldog. So it's easy for you to look for the person who is more of the victim, the lean man that looks naive. So yes, the people will follow that. You look at the entire political system in Nigeria. Look at who is the bulldog. Look for who is the little chihuahua. That's what's going on. And you also look at what's happening across other states as well. So people are supporting, and that's why the Labour Party won elections in 2023.
Yeah.
Because Nigerians were looking at the weaker yet strong party, the party that is emerging, trying to change things. And that's what the APC did in 2015. They came out and said the PDP is a behemoth, they're a big problem, they're corrupt, they're this and that, and they sold that narrative and came in and became worse than the thing they were pushing against in 2015. So what are people doing? They are fighting the bulldog, the perceived bulldog. If Wike was another person, if Wike had another character which was more empathetic to people, you can't take his character. He's been the same person from time immemorial, from when he was a local government chairman. He's been the same strong personality. So they don't like his personality. They don't like his brand of politics. But has he worked? He has worked. Has he done well? He has done well. Has he done well in terms of his work as a minister in the FCT? He has done well. But people do not like that fact that Wike looks like a bulldog, behaves like a bull in a china shop. That's what they don't like. So Fubara trying to, and let me point this to you. If the former governor of Kogi State, Yaya Bello, who is embroiled in a lot of crisis today, if he didn't have that crisis, and Ododo, who is now the governor, decided to stand up against him, then you're almost going to see the same battle that you're seeing in Rivers happening in Kogi State. They will look at and you'll forget how that person came into power. That is the political godson. So people easily forget how the process was, and they look at the outcome and say, it doesn't matter, why should they talk to him like that? That's the issue we are facing in Nigeria. We always want to be sentimental, and we're very emotional about issues. This issue in Rivers State is between two people. One person who said, you are going to be governor, the other person said, okay, sir. And then finally, they made him governor, he won the election, irrespective of how the election was won, and then both of them have a crisis. This problem we are seeing in Rivers is two people having a disagreement and dragging the rest of the Rivers people and Nigerians into it. That's basically, let's call a spade a spade.
Absolutely. Because
we did not ask for this. All this violence that is there, whether Fubara is talking about, whatever he's talking about, the truth be told, if it was left to a choice, he most likely might not have been the person Rivers would have picked to become governor. So there was a time when Fubara said, long time ago, that it's an internal family issue. Apparently, the family issue cannot be resolved. That's why we are where we are. So while people are sentimental towards Fubara, I understand. But you see that underdog thing, I'm the one who asked the question, what did you do to your master? Why are we the ones facing it? So local government elections, what will happen next? You have changed commissioners so many times. Once was the agreement when you became governor. Of course, you know that your political godfather is going to give you members of your cabinet. So why are you complaining? So now we have the issue. Everybody has to pick a side. And of course, the side that everybody is going to pick emotionally will be Fubara's side.
What of the introduction?
Let's just be very honest.
Yeah, what of the introduction of the third leg, the APP leg now? Because, I mean, most of the local government chairmen that won the election emanated out of the APP. And there are suggestions that these are people that are even faithfuls, Fubara faithfuls that went ahead to win those positions under APP. What's the impacts of this introduced clause? Because, I mean, that's a new race altogether.
It's a political move that was expected. You see, if you look at what's going on in Rivers State and look at what's going on across other states in Nigeria, it's not the first time this kind of thing happens. When you're within a party that looks like it is being managed or run or being owned by a particular person, and you don't want to leave the party for obvious political reasons, the best thing for you to do is to see how to look for your another leg somewhere else. And the APP coming on board was a masterstroke that nobody really expected, because when you see Fubara in this kind of situation, you say he can't go to the APC because you feel that Wike is already in the APC. Let's call what it is what it is. You can't stay in the PDP because you know that even the PDP is confused at the top. Which side do they stand? Do they have a national chairman? Don't they have a national chairman? But then eventually, what does the governor have to do? He now looks for the nearest party that is unknown, that has no political background, no political structure, and take it. That's a simple thing. So if he takes over the structure and he moves all his men into that place, then what happens? The governor becomes the leader of the APP in the state. Let's not beat around the bush. Everybody knows that. Even when the PDP governors came to, and PDP leaders came to Fubara a few days ago, they were all feigning, oh, we lost the election, it is quite unfortunate. Because, there's nothing they can do. They struck the platform they have, they can't do much with it. So it is better that we have one of our own stay here and there rather than lose everything entirely. So why he moved now? What I was telling somebody yesterday or 2 days ago was, if Fubara wants to make APP now his party, what will happen is you will notice, maybe in the few days or weeks to come, you will notice how some senators will defect to APP from Rivers State. House of Rep members defect to APP from Rivers State. Then the PDP members in Rivers State will now defect to APP. What happens? It will now be awaiting Fubara formally to defect to the APP. So it's going to be a sequential thing if we watch the political happenings going on in Rivers State, because he needs to have a party that he can manage, a party he can control, and that's what is happening. So the first thing you need to understand is, if we now have 22 out of 23 local governments being run by APP, what happens in 2027? It means that you need the local governments to work. And in Rivers State, the local government's chairmen are the kings of the local, for real. It's not like every other state. It happens. It's not like what happens in other states where the governor runs the local. You look at even the local government chairmen that were under Wike, and some of them who are crying now. You will see that the confidence they are talking with is that they have become lords of the manor. They are kings. So everything happens in the local government. If you want to contest for anything at the top, you need the local government. If there are rumors that Nyesom Wike will become president, which I don't really see, but whatever happens, he will need the local government. Even when he wants to vote, he will need his local government. He will come back and vote in his ward. And you see, he's losing his ward, this one is losing his ward, and Fubara is losing his ward. But Fubara did not come and complain about the conduct of the election. Fubara did not say, Rivers State Electoral Commission, how dare you allow me lose my own ward? He didn't say anything like that. So it is a political masterstroke that, like I said before this question, a lot of political godfathers are watching how this goes. Any of their political godsons that want to contest in the next years to come, they will give you warning. They will block up all other political parties, so you can't move there. You can't have that same kind of template. So that's what is going to be happening very soon. A lot of political parties that are existing today will now become the beautiful bride for politicians. If anything happens, let me put my leg there, let me put my leg there, let me put my leg there. And it's a sensible thing to do. We shouldn't have a one-party system. We shouldn't.
Okay.
Let's look at what's happened in Anambra State. In Anambra State, you had a House of Assembly where it was colorful. There was APC, there's ABDA, there's PDP, there's YPP, there's Labour. That's what we should be having in our democracy, not a one-party state.
Okay.
Doctor, it's not what democracy is about.
Talking about one-party system, or the fear of Nigeria becoming a one-party state, right now, and there have been different conversations, and I'm drawing your attention to a post you made on social media talking about the possibility of us not having Labour Party in 2027 when the next round of election will come. Now, we know that even the few persons who were elected under the platform of the Labour Party at the National Assembly, some of them have cross-carpeted, if not all, to the APC as we speak, which means the structure that we have, the personalities that we would have had, also giving strong backing to the party, have already given up that standpoint. I'd like to know, what are your reasons for making that assumption that we might not be able to have Labour Party last till 2027, regardless of the fact that the Obedient movement was not about Labour Party per se, but about Nigerians who had had enough of what was happening in the political space?
Yes, I still stand by my my assertion about the Labour Party. And one thing, Francis, you need to understand is we were very sentimental in 2023. I think we have quoted it saying that the youths rose up to, demand good governance and they voted. Yes, let's call it that. But where we got it wrong, whether it's from the obedience or the youth or whichever, is where we said to ourselves that let's do away with the old guard. Let's create a new political structure. My brother, my sister, Nigeria is over 60 years old. And if you want to add the colonial era, add it together. We have politicians back there. You can't do away with the old guard. That's the mistake we made. Labour Party is suffering the same thing. They were never really a party. It was a party like the APP now, that the obedience just moved in and got people to support. And unfortunately for the Labour Party, they have a rich history. Do you know that we've had governors from the Labour Party in the past? Adams Oshiomhole was a Labour Party governor before he moved to the ACN. Olusegun Mimiko of Ondo State, he was a Labour Party governor. But what happened after that? What they did was Labour Party has become a political hard lot. You go in, use her, you move. You go in, use her, you move. So what happened in the 2023 election was when a lot of non-politicians who had no political experience, which is actually not a bad idea, they moved into the Labour Party. But Labour Party, when they won this election, you had naive people becoming House of Reps, House of Senators, House of Assembly members, and they had no political backing. They had no political foundation. They were working on their own. So when you move to Abuja, into a place that is I don't know what to call it, you just moved into the place and everybody begins to drag you left, right, and center. Look at the National Assembly. Who is the leader of the Labour Party caucus in the National Assembly? What have you seen Labour Party do in the National Assembly? Nothing. No breakout, standout person. Nobody. No opposition. We were watching to see from the constitution, the budget placement, we were watching to see what the Labour Party will say as a party. Nothing. There's been so much crisis within the Labour Party at the national level. The only Labour Party state that exists is in Abia State. Why? Because Alex Otti is a politician to the core who has contested on all political parties. And he knows that if he leaves Labour Party and it comes to APGA or it comes to PDP or it comes to APC, he's going to lose that structure that made him win. Alex Otti did not win because of Labour Party. Alex Otti won because of the obedience. Now we have a Labour Party that when they got into power, they did not go to the roots. They did not go and they just believe that they are now politicians, they are now in positions of power. They did not go to the roots and create a political base. That is why there is no state now that has conducted local government elections, except for Abia. I'm sure Abia State will have most of their chairmanship Labour Party. But at the level of it, you need to capture the local government. And that's what APP did in Rivers. That's what PDP is doing in Akwa Ibom. That's what PDP is doing in Enugu. That's what APGA is doing in Anambra State. So why Labour Party will not exist in 2027 is that they don't have a structure. It was shameful that in Enugu, for instance, where I'm based, Labour Party has 2 out of 3 senators. Labour Party had most of the House of Rep members. Labour Party had the majority in the House of Assembly until they sold themselves out to the PDP. Labour Party should have been the speaker. But because PDP is a state that a party that has ruled Enugu State from 1999, they know the political maneuvering. And many of the people who became lawmakers in Labour Party don't have any political experience. They don't have any political background. They don't have a political following. They don't. So at the core of it, when they conducted elections for a party that should be the opposition, they lost. Labour Party did not win one state. They did not win one local government. They did not win anything. And that goes to show you that this political experience we're talking about is important. Yeah. You can't do without it. You can't do without it. So that's where it is.
So talking about the fate of a Labour Party in 2027, let's look into this rumored mergers between, Kwankwaso, Rabiu Kwankwaso of the NNPP and the Labour Party, Peter Obi. I mean, in recent, articles on the print media this week alone, we have seen the rumors of a merger between them, looking to run together in 2027. I should imagine that will be on the platform of the Labour Party. What's your thought with regards to that? Is that a strong move? A lot of people are saying it's coming a little too late. It should have been done in 2023.
Any conversation about 2027, if God gives President Tinubu life, nobody should touch 2027. The structures are already there. Anything you're doing is just going to try and rock the boat. What I think Kwankwaso said and is trying to say is, it's not about 2027. It's about the election after 2027. Most of the parties had zoned the presidency to the south, and Peter Obi trying to anything that's going to happen is just probably Peter Obi trying to remain politically relevant, or Kwankwaso trying to remain politically relevant. But it's not going to change anything. NNPP is just in one state. NNPP doesn't have any other spread. They have not had anyone they come from any political office holder who has come to the NNPP in any other state. So Kanu being Kanu. Now, what Labour Party, which states have they captured? Abia states. Kanu and Abia. That's just 2 out of 36 states. What difference is it going to make? Nothing. It's not going to make any difference. Whether Kwankwaso runs under with Peter Obi doesn't really make any difference. That's why a lot of people ask Peter Obi, what is your thought of 2027? He's not talking about 2027. 2027 looks very bleak. You still have the RNS chairman. Still be the RNS chairman. You're still talking 2027. You're talking about the Supreme Court, the courts in system in Nigeria. You're still talking about 2027, where we have not had a just-based system. What has 2027 going to do? What is going to change? So, in terms of whatever Kwankwaso is trying to talk about, it's just political jingle to, in my own opinion, to remain politically relevant. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to make any difference if Kwankwaso is running with Peter Obi. And the Labour Party we are talking about, is it the Labour Party that is still trying to fight whether Julius Abure is the national chairman or not? Which Labour Party are we talking about? Whichever party the obedience follow Peter Obi to will make a difference. That's what happened. And that's one of my grounds is with obedience.
Is that a possibility? Dr. Ajufo, is that a possibility that Peter Obi will move to another party and the obedient movement will still remain as strong as it was? Is that even a possibility?
That's my ground with the obedience, and that's why I say political experience. When the obedience were complaining, oh, we don't want this person, he was in PDP, we don't want this, you said this about Peter Obi, you were being emotional. Because that's why young people, that's why the older politicians understand this game of politics. Obedience are not strong today. What we have reduced that, let me not say what we have reduced this. What they've reduced themselves is people who complain on social media. There's no political rally. There's no political gathering. There's no. This game of politics needs constantly oiling the numbers.
Okay.
There are no political activities. So if obedience want to rise in 2027, they should have continued the same vigor of 2023 till today. They should be in the news. They should be constantly in the public. They should be not coming out to come and protest. They should be having more people. It should be getting more people into their numbers, because the politicians are wiser after what happened in 2023. So are they infiltrated in 2023? Have they infiltrated the obedient? Because, at the point in time after the elections, a lot of people came out and called themselves obedient. They are supporting, they want to congratulate this person from APC who has won. And people ask, who are you? So that's why I think Mr. Peter Obi decided that Dr. Yunus Tanko should be the leader, the face of obedience, so that he can have some kind of structure. Because if the obedience stay together, it becomes a machinery for every other election. They go and they follow. In Enugu, for instance, they had the governorship Labour Party. But most of the obedience went towards the PDP because they looked at the personalities. And I must say, thankfully, they picked the right person.
Okay, so another issue I've just brought up now, which happens to be Nigerians not looking at the party the individual is running on, to looking at the person's credibility, the person's antecedents and his abilities, and of course, his track record so far. Now, I'm going to move aside from that, Doctor, and just as we wrap this up, in Nigeria right now, the PDP are not in order. The PDP house is not in order. The Labour Party, which came from being an underdog to being one of the major parties in the just concluded election, is also not in order. Don't you see that as a dangerous signal that in 2027 we might not have a strong opposition against the APC, and that would just be like carry go? And don't forget also, just shortly after the elections, the APC already began conversation about winning the South State, for instance, which of course is also one of the concerns about Rivers State and Akwa Ibom. But we've seen PDP really holding his ground in Akwa Ibom State. Don't you see this as a danger signal as we go into the 2027 elections?
Well, that was a political game all the while. It makes small. If you were a politician, it's the same thing you think. It's the idea. You looked at your competition in 2023. You looked at the competition, you looked at who won the election, not based on what INEC said. And then there are two things you do with those people. Number one, you call them to join your government. Number two, you decimate them. Number three, you bring everybody together. When Facebook wants to buy its competition, like how they bought Instagram, you just buy off Instagram and add them, and take the same people that are there, look for what made them tick. In 2027, it will take a lot for PDP and Labour Party and any other party to actually take back the presidency. It will take a lot. The idea is that they shouldn't be able to even move. They shouldn't be able to respond. They shouldn't even have any teeth. And that's what's going on. And that happened right from the gate. After the elections, we started seeing PDP have a lot of issues. We started seeing Labour Party have a lot of issues. Who has seen Lami their papa in a long time? Nobody. Nobody. What is the problem going on within the PDP? Who is the PDP national chairman as it stands? Nobody. You had the G5 governors who came and caused a problem for PDP. Where are the G5 governors now? All these things were political machineries. They were political strategies that worked to kick out every other opposition. And that's why you're noticing that APC is not doing as much politicking as it used to do. Because during Buhari's era, you saw APC everywhere. If they're not organizing this rally here, they're organizing this rally here. If they're not organizing this rally here, because now is not the time for rallies. Now is the time for them to do their jobs, make people buy into them and say, they were not so bad in the last 4 years. We complained, but they did well. So when it comes to the election in 2027, you'll still start seeing people say, if it's not broken, why should we fix it? That's the strategy now. So if PDP wants to come, that's what PDP now, what they're trying to do is just protect the states they have. They are not doing anything to push against the federal. They are just trying to protect the states they have. Edo State has now gone to the APC. Ouch, that one is hurtful. So from Lagos, across that corridor, everything is, most things are APC, except for Osun State, that is PDP.
Adeleke.
And or your state, yes. So every PDP is just trying to make sure that they hold their states, because if the APC is interested in your state, you need to push back. You need to push back. You need to make sure that the traditional institutions are there. When I say traditional institutions, you need to oil the greases of the political bigwigs in your state so that they don't move to the other party. Except for the PDP Governors Forum chairman, Governor of Bauchi State. He's the only one who is speaking out. He's the only person speaking out. And this was what Wike was doing to Buhari. You realize what he was doing when he was. Now it is now the PDP in their dwindling numbers trying to do. Now, there are no other parties in Nigeria that are captured states except for Labour Party, ABGA, and NMPP. Three of them can't come together. They can't form a merger. So if Rivers is lost to APP, now, then that will be... But that small mass cannot really do much. So in 2027, you might not even see anybody anybody who can even come out and represent the PDP, and people say, okay,
let's go.
Except to bring a P2P, except to bring somebody else into the PDP and say, oh, let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do. Because in 2027, the only way for PDP to get the presidency will take a lot. If the traditional institutions, INEC, the police, security agencies are not up against you, you have a lot to do. A lot to do.
All right.
So that's what it is.
It looks like 2027 is going to be a steep drama. It's either there's going to be lack of interest or interest misplaced. But it was such a great and long conversation with you, Dr. Sammy Ajufo, this morning. And it's been great getting interpretations for some of the things happening in the political landscape. Thank you so much for your time. Of course, Dr. Sammy Ajufo is, a media consultant extraordinaire. And, of course, a leader in that repute in the media industry. Thank you so much for your time this morning on Rise and Shine.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Thank
Do
you.
enjoy the rest of your day. Well, I would call that a political education for a lot of people that are leaning here or there, not really having, adequate understanding. I think we're up to speed. And if you are a Kwankwa or an obedient or articulated, whatever you are, get your books right for, 2027, and let's see where the country heads. But that's been all for today.
Well, it's also thrown up something that an underdog can come out and become a bulldog, depending
so
on
we can't
how
place
they
a
play the
bet on
cards.
anything or anyone.
We can't place a bet yet. We just watch and see how the events unfolds.
All right. This is where we'll drive the vehicle to a halt. I hope that the APC is not headed to your own state very soon. But that's why we are on Rise and Shine, to keep tabs on what's happening in the political space. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. We'll do this again, same time, same station tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.